Hey, how's it going? So, I recently did an interview where I was encouraged to come up with a little video kind of walking through the recording and mixing process of my new album, No Labels. So, I just want to give a quick shout out to Pete Johns at Studio Live today. Let's do it. Hey, how's it going? I'm Javier Garza Jr. Welcome to my mobile mixing studio. I'd like to break down the process, the recording process, and the mixing process that I used for my new album, No Labels, for my music project, Army of 100 Sheep. Let's get started. First, I'd like to break down the gear that I used. I used the iPhone 8 Plus with 64 gig and Garageband iOS. For the microphone to cut vocals, I used a standard iPhone Apple Earpods with remote end mic. You're supposed to use a pop filter when you're recording vocals. I installed this one, but I did it after the album was done, so instead I just kind of had to control my sibilance manually. To reference, I used Apple Airpods and Bose Headphones. For the interface, I used a IK Multimedia iRig HD2 digital guitar interface adapter. I took a chance on it, got it for like $100, blew my mind. For guitars, I used a Gretsch Panther electric guitar, a Gretsch Baritone electric guitar, a Yamaha acoustic guitar, and a Fabian electric guitar. Now, after doing the intonation and the setup on the Fabian bass guitar, which I got for like $60, it sounded just as good as my Gretsch Panther, which is a little bit more on the expensive side. So it just goes to show you that you don't need expensive gear to make something sound amazing. For the drums and the beats, I use the GarageBand Virtual Session Drummer. As far as effects goes, I used everything in GarageBand. I didn't use anything outside of GarageBand. All the effects can be found right in GarageBand. So the recording process took place mostly in my kitchen. I did a little bit in my living room, and I cut my vocals in a staircase which had really, really high ceilings, and I used that for the natural reverb. One piece of advice I would give you for the recording process is you do want a good take, but I wouldn't try to shoot for the perfect take if you're going to lose the feeling and the vibe. I did all the mixing in my car. It was definitely an adventure, but I'll kind of break that down for you. For the mixing process, I used my iPhone, a dongle, a 3.5 millimeter aux cable, my aftermarket Alpine CD player, and my 2005 Hyundai Elantra. I set the source to auxiliary. I zeroed out the car EQ. And I used Spotify to reference tracks that were similar to the ones that I was mixing. I guess I was sitting in my car, and just for fun, I decided to do a little rough mix in my car just to see what it sounded like. And by the time that I went inside and put my headphones on to listen to it and test it out, I was so amazed at what I heard, and I was like, I'm gonna mix the entire record in my car. So I did everything in GarageBand except for two things. The first thing was I downloaded a program called Cakewalk from BandLab onto my PC so that I could import my finished tracks and see what the waveforms look like before I sent it out to the mastering engineer. Which brings me to the second thing that I didn't do in GarageBand. I sent all the finished tracks to a mastering engineer. It helps having an extra set of ears listening to the things that you didn't catch, pretty much going right behind you and cleaning up all your messes, all the frequencies that you might have missed. It's kind of like having your mom fix your hair right before you go to school. I'm super excited with the album and the way that it turned out. I hope you guys get a chance to listen to it. Please feel free to leave me any comments or questions, and also any links to your projects or things that you're working on. Have an awesome day, and don't forget, make music, not excuses. Peace.